alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Welcome to Radio Sira on 1575 AM, also streaming on www.radiosira.com. Yes, dear children, I'm going to be, inshallah ta'ala, giving you a story of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. And we all know that Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, his entire story is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah in the Quran and many other parts of the Quran also. So inshallah ta'ala, it's a very, very interesting story, and I hope all the young children out there will enjoy the story of Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. To start off with, Egypt, capital city, Cairo is a very old country. Many great kings passed through this land, kings that had immense power. They had grand palaces and mounds of gold and silver. They felt that none was equal to them and used to say that they can make needy whoever they want and they can make mighty whoever they want. They used to say that people should worship them, bow their heads before them. They were called Pharaoh. The Pharaoh of Egypt, his name was not Pharaoh. Just as the leader of Germany is called Caesar, these were called Pharaoh. There were two large nations in Egypt. One was the Egyptians, known as Copts, Kipti, and the other were known as Bani Israel. The Copts were ruling. The wealth was with them. The Copts had large palaces and factories. The Bani Israel were poor. They were laborers and they had no position in the country. The Copts would threaten them whenever they wanted to. The Copts had large gardens, vast lands in which the crops would sway. The Bani Israel would till the land. They would sweat because of working the whole day, but no appreciation was shown to them because this was Bani Israel who lived like untouchables. If they went against the wishes of the Copts to the slightest degree, they would be beaten. It is not that the Bani Israel were inferior in terms of their being. They were from a high-ranking family. Their forefathers were the kings of Egypt previously, but now they were poor and no one asked about them. There were great astrologers that lived in Egypt. They used to look at the stars and explain many things. There were magicians in Egypt too. They would involve themselves in various tricks. They would throw a rope on the ground and the onlookers would see a black snake. People would become scared and flee. They had immense power and even the government would fear them. This was Egypt. The description is being given to you now. One night, Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, was sleeping when he saw a frightful dream and he became worried. In the morning, he called the astrologers and mentioned it to them. The astrologers said, "The meaning of this dream is that your kingdom will be ended at the hands of a boy from amongst the Bani Israel." Pharaoh said, "If this is the case, then I shall wipe the Jews out in a jiffy." He then issued instructions that in whichever Bani Israel's house a boy is born, he would immediately be killed. What to do now? There will be punishment for the Bani Israel. The police and army budged into any homes they wanted to. They looted and killed any male child they saw. There was no one to listen to the cries of the Bani Israel. The father of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, now for the biography of the child about whom the astrologers had warned Pharaoh. There was a pious man from the Jewish family called Imran. He had a son called Harun. Imran feared because in his house a brother to Harun was born. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired the heart of the wife of Harun that she should make a wooden box, polish it and join the planks in such a way that the air is not cut off. If a male is born, she should place him in the box. Possibly the box will float to a far off place and it will be found by someone who will bring him up. If he stays in the house, the police and the army will get hold of him and then no one will be able to save the child. The wife of Imran prepared the box. Then the time came when the boy was born. He was handsome and healthy. The mother placed him in a box, closed it and placed it in a Nile to flow. She explained to her daughter Maryam that she should monitor the river bank and the box. The box flowed with the river and Maryam walked along the banks. It was the doing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the box ended up at the wall of the palace of Pharaoh. A woman of the palace picked it up and took it inside. Maryam went into the palace. The wife of Pharaoh was Asya. She was a pious lady with a merciful heart. When a woman showed the box to Asya and a living, handsome baby came out, Asya had great love for it and said, "We shall bring him up." Pharaoh heard about the child in the box, so he also came home. When he saw the child, he had the thought that it could be the same child about whom the astrologers spoke. Asya said, "This is just a thought. He will be coolness of our eyes. We shall make him a son." Well, does a son hit the father? The difficulty was that he who would now breastfeed the child, wet nurses were called. They put their breast to the mouth of the child, and the child turned away and did not drink. Maryam saw this and said, "I know of a wet nurse. I can tell her if you want. She is very clean and pious. She will look after the child well." Asya said, "Piety and questions. Do not delay and bring her now. If the child drinks, we should keep him." Asya named her son Musa. Now listen to the story of mother of Musa alayhi salam. She placed the baby in the water, but she was moving about very worried. In this time, Maryam came and told her of everything and said, "Mother, the boy did not drink the milk of anyone. Mother, look at the arrangements that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made. Now there is no fear for him." The mother of Musa alayhi salam went happily to the palace. The moment she put her breast in his mouth, he began drinking thirstily. She was appointed as the wet nurse. Musa alayhi salam grew up, and his stature was such that whoever saw him, he would be astonished. In his youth, his chest showed out. He had the form of a brave person. The family of his parents were lofty. The household of the king was good. He wore grand clothing. He ate the best food. Whenever he came out, people would respect him. Musa alayhi salam came to know that he is not the son of Pharaoh. He is from Bani Israel. One day, he was going to the end part of a locality. An Egyptian and a Bani Israel were arguing. He was saying, "I am poor, downtrodden. Will I not get work? My family and children are hungry." The Egyptian person was telling him to go away. The Bani Israel saw Musa alayhi salam and screamed, "The Egyptian is taking me by force. Save me." Musa alayhi salam explained to the Egyptian, but he was adamant. Musa alayhi salam became angry and gave him a slap. He fell down unconscious. He died soon thereafter. Musa alayhi salam was ashamed and regretted this. It was a devilish deed. He left the corpse and went. In the city there was a talk that at the edge of the city an Egyptian was killed. The next day, Musa alayhi salam went out of the city, and the same Bani Israel were arguing with another Egyptian. The moment he saw Musa alayhi salam, he began shouting. Musa alayhi salam stopped the Egyptian using one hand, and he angrily told the Egyptian that every day you argue with someone or the other. The Egyptian saw Musa alayhi salam turning to him, so he said to him out of fear, "Will you also kill me as you took the life of another Egyptian yesterday?" Now the entire city started talking that the corpse found yesterday, he was killed by Musa alayhi salam. The news reached Pharaoh, So he issued instructions that Musa alayhi salam should be caught and brought wherever he is found. A friend of Musa alayhi salam ran and came to him. He said, "Leave Egypt immediately. The Egyptians are looking for you." Hearing this, Musa alayhi salam fled Egypt in fear. The next part coming up is the marriage of Musa alayhi salam. Stay tuned to Radio Sira on 1575 AM, also streaming on www.radiosira.com.